Sure. So before I joined the group, my husband and I had certainly been trying. I grappled with my own health issues in the form of, thyroid condition, hypothyroidism. And initially I came to you with the goals of trying to get my health optimized and in a good place before conceiving. I had not had any luck with previous doctors, and I had decided that I really needed to take on the responsibility of educating myself as much as possible to make this a really successful process, and also just to get myself to a point where I was feeling better, because overall I was just feeling super crummy all the time, and I couldn't even fathom having to weather a pregnancy on top of what my new normal, my new miserable normal had become. So, I had been working with you for a few months before the course started, and just kind of navigating the different topics kind of allowed me and us to layer in and take into consideration other things that might be going on, not just with me, but with my husband as well.
Yeah. Without making your husband get on the call with us, since we didn't really prep him for that, what have you noticed in his health and how he's responded to this program as well?
So he certainly has more energy overall. He's losing weight, which he's so excited about. We've adopted the Mediterranean diet into our household. We leave a little bit of wiggle room because it's definitely tough for him. He's a meat eater, right? So that he's definitely enjoying the benefits of putting cleaner, more useful foods into his body. And he's seeing the results of that. And he's been doing it a much shorter time than I have. And, of course, he's lost more weight than I have in like 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Of course. Isn't that always the way?
Yeah.
What sort of changes have you noticed with your periods? I mean, if that's not TMI for you to share with a bunch of ladies who may also have period problems.
Sure. So prior to, things were they were so miserable. I would call it my energy and my life sucker week, because when my cycle came around, I would have zero energy. I could spend 1 to 2 days really wanting to just curl up in a ball from the pain of, the cramps in, the front, the back. And it was just unbearable, like month after month. Through all the work that we've done together, I am happy to say that, and they were crazy heavy, which is never fun when you are working and you got to run to the bathroom every other hour for fear of, leaking, which nobody wants that to happen, but it was a very real concern, and it was happening. So through all the work we've done, I'm just so relieved. Like, I no longer have the extremely heavy periods. We've eased up a lot of the pain that we think was coming and was really more of an inflammatory reaction during that time. And I'm functional throughout my cycle. Like, my life doesn't stop just because my period has arrived. So it's literally it's a night and day difference I'm really looking at.
Yeah, that's, I think, something really important to recognize, because not many women relate period problems potentially being related to trouble getting pregnant or staying pregnant. And when we have this high inflammatory response, it's a red flag for me too.
I just had no idea it wasn't supposed to be that painful or that heavy for that long. Like, nobody really tells you these things.
Yes, sure.
Take some Tylenol, pull out your heating pad and
suck it up. Like, it's part of being a woman. But I mean, that comes like generationally. Like, I think my grandmother, even like growing up in the late 30s and 40s, was like, told me stories about like having to go home from school and have a heat pack on, and it's like, gosh, that's like 75 years ago.
Right. And as I got older, I thought it was going to get better. Like, it just kept getting worse. So for anybody who's maybe listening or watching, just when Katie says, you know, your period doesn't have to be painful and it doesn't have to be dreadful, just tell them the truth.
Yeah. So I think I hope I've done a good job of explaining to people how I don't necessarily expect people to be pregnant upon leaving this 12-week experience. It's more about doing the prep for the body to be ready to conceive once, you know, all the things are aligning. What's your level of confidence going into like, the potential of trying to conceive now?
I would say it's probably, I mean, if I look at this time a year ago, I think knowledge is power, right? So I feel much more comfortable with the process and just knowing where some of the hurdles might be. It's a night and day difference. I mean, when I first came to you a year ago, I was really questioning whether even my body was going to be able to handle it. You know, after suffering a loss, it's like you start to wonder and you start to doubt. I feel like the 12-week course provided me with a lot of tools to, you know, not just try to make a baby, but, you know, manage stress and really pay attention, self-care. Like I remember going through the different course titles and going, oh, self-care is actually radical self-care, I think is what you call it. Is a module, and just how important that is. And I don't think that's not just important for the conception process or the journey. That's important for life overall. As is the, you know, the diet section of the course. So I feel like in terms of being prepared and ready to kind of take the next step on this journey, I mean, we're there. Like I'm confident. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little scared. But I certainly feel a ton better than I did a year ago. And getting my husband to be a participant in the process, I think, has also set our family up for a better lifestyle, whereas before it was just me kind of doing this on my own. And if we'd go to dinner somewhere, like, well, hopefully they had something that I could eat. And if they didn't, well, okay, you know, I'd kind of, you know, make a concession. And there's not so much of that going on around here anymore because we're both in the same boat. So I will be forever grateful that I enrolled in the course and made the investment, not just for me, for, you know, my current family and what will be my future family, because it's certainly changed. It's changed our lives. It's changed, you know, simple things, very complicated things, how we eat, how we sleep, how we take care of ourselves. But certainly worth it. And I think we're both ready. I think my husband knows a lot more now than he did before too, in working with me. So
it's been pretty cool to see the transformation with him as well, because I think so many men come to the table kind of skeptical about this, and maybe also with a little bit of fear, like fear of change, fear that maybe some of these issues are their fault, but they don't know how to control that. And I think, you know, I hope that I come at this from a non-judgmental place where, like, they know that they are loved and accepted just the way they are, but that this is a team effort. And I mean, so far with, you know, couples that I work one-on-one with too, and what I've seen with other people who've gone through the course, you know, we had a small group, which was in some ways very nice because I could track people more closely, know what was going on with them. But on all fronts, I think all the significant others participated pretty well, which I was excited to see.
I didn't see it coming. I mean, as you know, we were several weeks into the course by the time we got him involved, by the time we convinced him, you know, to make certain considerations and maybe to take a certain test or, you know, start considering certain things that might need to be done on his end. But I think it definitely started with the education piece and giving me the talking points to at least take back and say, hey, maybe consider this, because I know all I have to do is with him at least plant the seed, and if he's really going to take it seriously, he'll go do his own research. So I think you do it, at least with us, you've done an excellent job of you know, really treating us not just as a couple, but like as individuals, and addressing the individual needs. I know he's certainly enjoyed the short time with you.
Well, thank you so much for giving your 2 cents about what it was like to go through that. And I hope you'll keep us posted on what the rest of your journey looks like. Is there anything else that you would want to tell someone who's kind of on the fence about doing a program like this?
I would say if you're thinking about it and you can fit this course into, you know, your current situation, and you're willing to make the commitment to, you know, watch the 1 hour sessions each week, participate, I think there's no way you don't walk away with something you didn't already know. Me personally, I'm walking away feeling much more empowered